My name's Johnny. Just Johnny. Folks always want to ask, Johnny who? Like they're hunting for a last name that'll make the pieces fit. But I've never had much that fits. Family didn't fit. Jobs didn't fit. Even my eye couldn't hold on. Just Johnny, like a stranger at the door. I'm 45 now, or 46. I don't really keep track anymore. I got out of the army 8 years ago. They sent me home early after I caught a chunk of something metal in the side of my head, and it took my eye with it. I got a glass one now. Looks real enough in the mirror if you don't stare too long. Moves a little lazy, like it's drunk. But it gets the job done. My knee's worse. That came from an IED that didn't finish the job. I remember lying in the dirt with my boot halfway off and a ringing in my ears, thinking this is it. But it wasn't. Never is. I made it back. A lot of my guys didn't. It's the funny thing about war. You get good at losing people, or worse at keeping them. I tried going back to normal after I got out. What people don't tell you is there's no normal waiting. You come home and everyone's moved on. Your house feels too quiet. Grocery stores feel like battlefields. And every job you apply for, they look at your resume and see two things: Army and medical discharge. And that's where the interview ends. Tried roofing for a while. My knee did not like that. Tried driving for a food delivery service, but the hours got strange, and my eye'd give me headaches when the road went too long. Eventually I ended up here. A motel. Not just any motel, mind you. It's out in the desert, about an hour past the last gas station that anyone remembers. A long, flat nothing on every side. No neighbors, no towns. Just sand and sky, and the kind of silence that makes your ears ring if you stand still too long. The place is called the Time Traveler's Motel. I didn't name it. I didn't build it. I just work here. Front desk mostly. Clean some rooms, change out the towels, replace light bulbs, fill out the same guest book over and over again with fake names because we don't get many real ones. It's an odd job, sure, but it's a job, and in this world, that counts for something. I wake up every morning at 5, limp to the little kitchen out back, brew up the same bitter coffee we get in bulk from God knows where. Then I wait. I wait for the sun to drag itself over the horizon and paint the walls that awful dusty pink this place was cursed with. Most motels get truckers, drifters, families with cranky kids on long trips. We don't. The people who show up at the Time Traveler's Motel don't belong anywhere. You can tell the moment they walk through the door. They move like they're confused by the light in the room, like it's been too long since they saw daylight. Some walk in fast, wild-eyed and frantic. Others come in slow, like they're walking out of a long dream they're not sure they were supposed to wake from. They're time travelers. Now I know what that sounds like. I thought it was a joke when I first started here. Place had a funny name, funny uniforms, and a front desk bell that sounded like it came off a 1930s train station counter. The whole motel looks like a movie set. Pale pink walls, those weird gold-framed portraits of people I don't recognize, velvet chairs you'd never want to sit in. Looks pretty, feels wrong, but the guests, the real ones, the ones we get at night when the desert's quiet, they're different. And no, they don't have time machines, not in the way you'd think. I've never seen any flashing gadgets or spinning wheels. Some of them carry watches that don't tick. Others just have this far-off look in their eyes, like they're seeing 5 moments at once and none of them are right now. Time travel doesn't make you smart. Doesn't make you rich either. Whatever gave these people the ability to jump through time didn't give it to them kindly. It's a curse, plain and simple. They don't age, for one, which sounds great till you live with it. One guy looked about 22, had a faded navy coat and a scar on his temple, told me he'd been alive since 1812, said he ran from a battlefield into a forest and came out somewhere near Cincinnati in 1980. Been skipping through time ever since. Lost his sister in the process. Said he hasn't seen her in 100 years. Then there's the hunger. Time travelers are always hungry. Doesn't matter how small they are or how long it's been since their last jump. They eat like their bodies are burning through time itself. I have seen a woman no taller than 5 feet eat 6 donuts, 3 bananas, and half a pot roast in one sitting, then ask if the kitchen was still open. That's why there is food everywhere in this place. There's always a box of donuts next to the reception desk. I keep them fresh. Every morning, a delivery truck comes out from somewhere, hell if I know where, because we are 40 miles from anywhere, and I get a new box. They're good too. Glazed, chocolate, powdered. The whole thing. Time travelers never say thank you, but they always notice if the donuts are missing. Under the counter, I keep a stash of energy bars. Cheap kind. Lots of sugar and nuts. I've had guests take 5 in one go and vanish before I even get their room number. They're polite about it, usually. And the kitchen? God, the kitchen. That's the heart of the place. We got a chef named Reggie. Big guy, quiet. Used to work in New Orleans, I think. Keeps the kitchen running 24 hours a day. Doesn't ask questions. He's always chopping something, stirring something, pulling fresh bread out of the oven like a magician. You walk past the kitchen window and it smells like soup, onions, garlic, sometimes cookies. We feed these travelers because they need it. But make no mistake, there's nothing to be jealous of. Not one damn thing. They never stay long. Can't. It's like the moment they stop moving too long, something starts to pull at them. I don't know what it is. And I've stopped asking. I've had guests break down in the lobby. One man sobbed into the couch cushions for 30 minutes before disappearing into room 6. Next day, his key was on the desk, and the bed hadn't been slept in. They come and go, leaving behind strange smells, strange questions, and the occasional item we can't explain. A red coin with no date. A key with no door. Once, a baby shoe, clean, unused, with a note tucked inside that just said, "I'm sorry." I used to ask questions. I don't anymore. That's rule number 1 here. Don't get involved. You serve the food, you clean the sheets. You don't ask where they came from or where they're going next. Sometimes they try to talk to me. There's this girl, no older than 16, with long black hair and a dress that looked like it was made from the curtains of some rich old house. She came in at 2 a.m, shaking and barefoot. I asked her if she was okay. She just looked at me and said, "I think I'm going the wrong way." The hell do you say to that? She stayed for 3 hours, ate everything Reggie sent her, from biscuits to bacon to 3 glasses of milk. Then she walked out the front door into the night and never came back. Now there's only one man who's been here longer than me. O'Reilly. He's the manager, though he never says it out loud. Doesn't wear a name tag. Doesn't have an office with a little plaque that says general manager or in charge. But everyone knows. You feel it the moment he walks into a room, like the temperature shifts a bit, like the walls lean in to listen. First time I met him, I thought he was a guest. He came out of room 0, which, far as I knew, didn't exist, wearing this red velvet suit that looked like it'd never seen dust. Perfect fit, too. Every button lined up like it was sewn by someone with magic fingers. Top hat to match. Long white gloves that never came off. Spectacles perched on his nose like they'd been there since birth. He looked like someone who missed the boat to the 1900s and decided to make peace with it. I asked, "Can I help you, sir?" He just smiled real slow. "I believe I already work here." That was it. No paperwork, no interview. 1 minute I was alone, running this strange little motel in the middle of nowhere. The next, I had a boss who looked like a circus magician. He drinks coffee like a man dying of thirst. Same as me, actually. That's probably the closest thing we have to a friendship. We both wake early, before the sun breaks over the dunes, and drink pot after pot of the motel's bitter brew. Coffee's weak today, I said one morning. O'Reilly sniffed it like a wine taster. It's not the coffee, Jimmy, it's the water. Something's off in the pipes again. You say that every week. Because it's true every week. We sit by the lobby window during the quiet hours. He brings out a long-stemmed pipe sometimes, though I've never seen him light it. Just lets it hang from his lip, like it's there to make a point. The man speaks in riddles half the time, but you get kinda used to it. You ever wonder where this place came from? I asked once. Nope, already know. But I wouldn't recommend chasing that answer. There's no satisfaction in it. You gonna tell me anyway? I asked. He chuckled. Made a deal with the right devil. One clever enough to take the bait. I looked at him. What was the bait? He grinned over the rim of his cup. Oh, I don't remember. That's how you know it worked. He never talks about himself. Not really. I asked once if he had a family. He shook his head. Oh, it's just me. Always has been. Children make you soft. Lovers make you slow. I prefer my evenings quiet and my heart light, he explained. I asked if he ever gets tired of being here. He gave me a strange look, like I'd said something backwards. Then he said, Tired, yes, so tired. Sleepy, no. What's that mean? I asked. He looked down at his gloves, tugged one tighter, like he was trying to keep a secret from slipping out. Then he said, I don't sleep, Johnny. I can't. You mean insomnia? I asked. No, no, not the human kind. Mine's worse. Every time I close my eyes, the devil visits me. I waited for a smile, a punchline. There wasn't one. What does he say? I asked. Oh, nothing useful. Just sits with me. Sometimes he hums. Sometimes he brings books I can't read. But he always smiles like he wants to talk to me. I'd rather be awake for those type of conversations, he said. And I didn't know how to reply to that. Still don't. There's something not quite right about O'Reilly. Now don't get me wrong, he's polite, never yells, keeps the books in order, the guest fed, the lights on. But there's a look in his eye that I can't pin down. Maybe it's the way he never seems surprised. You tell him a time traveler just burst into the kitchen yelling about a missing century, and he'll nod like you just told him it's raining. He knows more than he lets on. Way more. I caught him one night in the hallway, standing outside room 3. No light on, no guest inside. Just standing there, hands behind his back, hat in place, eyes closed. "You all right?" I asked. He didn't open his eyes, just said, "This used to be her room." "Who?" I asked. He opened his eyes slowly and smiled. "No one you'd recognize," he said. And he walked away after that. And I didn't ask again. Now, we never get mail here, but once a month, without fail, a letter shows up on the front desk addressed to O'Reilly, the Time Traveler's Motel. Always the same envelope, sealed with red wax. I've never seen him open one. "Don't you want to know what it says?" I asked him once. "No need. I hate it when people try to contact me anyway. If it was real important, they'd call," he said. Some nights I wonder if he ever leaves. I've never seen him get in a car, never heard him mention a day off. He's always there, tall and thin and velvet red, wandering the halls like a conductor between train stops, keeping order in a place that shouldn't exist. The guests respect him, even the jumpy ones. I've seen travelers mid-panic go quiet when he enters the room. He'll place a gloved hand on their shoulder and say, "You're safe. Just for tonight." And that's usually enough. O'Reilly isn't just a man. He's part of the building, like the walls and the light switches. If this place ever vanished, I think he'd vanish with it. I asked him once if he believed in God. He laughed hard and long, like I'd asked if he believed in shoelaces. "Oh, I believe in rules. Strange ones, ancient ones. And the people who write them usually have faces that would scare you." Then he drained his cup and said, "But I believe in purpose. And you and I, we've got one." "What's that?" I asked. He smiled that crooked smile. "To keep the peace in a place that has no right to exist. To give lost things a bed and a meal. And to make sure the lights stay on, even when time forgets where we are." He's a bit of a poet, ain't he? That's O'Reilly for you. But I think about the stuff he says long after everyone's gone to bed. But he's not the weirdest part about this place. 'Cause we have the staff and the guests. People think that if you work at a place like this, you gotta be strange. Maybe that's true. But truth is, most of the staff here aren't all that different from regular folk. We're just used to things that other people would call impossible. Take Carmela. 60-something, maybe 70, but she'd slap you if you guessed it out loud. She's got this low, crackling voice, like she's been yelling at the world since birth. Smokes menthols like they're candy. I've never seen her without one dangling from her lips, even when she's folding bed sheets. She used to be a nun. No, really, she did. Left the church after what she calls an unfortunate conversation with an archangel in a Vatican parking garage. Says she did cleanup work for the church's less talkable operations. Her exact words,
"You think priests are scary? Try handling a post-resurrection tantrum in a broom closet behind St. Peter's. That's where the real holy fire is,"
she told me once, jabbing her cigarette toward my chest. She won't go near room 205. I asked her about it once. She just shook her head.
"Left a piece of my soul in there back in '88. Don't plan on going back for it."
That was all she said. She runs housekeeping, shouts at the younger staff when they slack off, calls everyone kid, even if they're 30 years older. Keeps the place clean, though, spotless. Says if the time travelers are going to fall apart in these rooms, they better do it somewhere with polished floors. Then there's Benny, our night bellhop. Wears the uniform like it's glued to him. Tiny guy with huge glasses. Never says much. But he's fast. He's real fast. I have seen him appear at the front desk before I even hear the bell ring. Always polite. Smells like lemons for some reason. I once asked Carmela what Benny's deal was.
"Oh, he's fine. Just don't ask him what year he was born. He gets weird about it."
Fair enough. The staff here don't stick around long unless they're built a certain way. You gotta be okay with silence, with questions that don't get answers. You gotta know how to act normal, even when a man from 1490 comes in with a sword and a complaint about indoor plumbing. And then, there are the guests. Every single one is different. Different clothes, different slang, different habits. Some dress like they're on their way to a disco. Others come in looking like they're running from the Black Plague. I had one lady walk in wearing a plastic dress covered in blinking lights. Said she was from the border decades. Didn't explain what that meant. Paid in gold dust and smiled like she knew how the world would end. Most of them speak English, or something close, but it's not always easy to follow. Some use words I haven't heard since old Western movies. Others drop phrases like telemind and bio-wefted, like they're just asking for directions. Still, the hardest ones for me are the Midwesterners. Don't ask me why. Something about the way they talk. It's all polite and cheerful, but it hits a strange note. Reminds me of when I used to watch those old black and white movies with my grandfather. I met a guy from Kansas once. Flat cap, suspenders, smile as wide as the highway. Called me fella and kept asking if we had any real Coca-Cola. I gave him a Sprite. He sipped it slow like he was trying to taste the decade it came from. Then, there's the widow in white. That's not her name, of course. No one knows her name. She's just always here. I never see her check in, never see her leave. She shows up when she wants to, crying in the laundry room. Always in the same outfit, long white robe, face pale like moonlight, dark hair tied back neat, like she's about to walk down the aisle. She carries a wedding dress in a linen bag. Won't let anyone touch it. She told me once that she left her groom in the 1800s and had been trying to find the right year ever since. I didn't know what to say to comfort her. I still don't. She cries without sound, just tears rolling down while the washers spin behind her. Sometimes she sings. Old songs. Real old. I recognize some of them from the radio when I was a kid, others not at all. I tried asking O'Reilly about her.
Oh, she's just still hoping time can forgive her. Some people think regret is just sadness. I think it's a kind of fuel. The longer you carry it, the farther it burns,
he said. Now the guests aren't all sad. Some come through like tourists, snapping mental pictures, chatting up the staff like they're on vacation. But they never stay that way for long. You see it in their eyes after a day or two. That weight, that weariness. It's not the traveling that breaks them. It's the drifting. Like their ghost still pretending they have bodies, just going through the motions until the next leap, the next town, the next mistake. O'Reilly once said everyone who checks in here is cursed. I asked him if he meant that literally.
Is there a difference?
He said, raising his cup. I guess not. I've seen travelers argue with clocks, seen them stare at a calendar like it insulted their mother. One man tore a wall clock off the front lobby and smashed it on the floor. Didn't say a word after. Just sat in the hallway for 2 hours, breathing real slow, like he was trying to count something he'd lost. I cleaned it up. Didn't ask why. That's the thing about this place. You get used to weird. You get used to quiet. And most of all, you get used to pain wearing funny costumes. But there are things you don't get used to as much. Like the job itself. People think I'm just the desk guy, the coffee guy, the towel guy. And sure, I do all those things. Lay down the salt line at the edge of the lot every morning. Make sure nobody walks through the lobby bleeding or glowing, or both. Check the locks, restock the donuts, smile politely, even when I don't understand a word coming out of someone's mouth. That's the job, sure, but it's not the real job. The real job is what happens after the guests leave. Time travelers do not pack light, and when they leave something behind, it's never by accident. Sometimes they forget. Sometimes they're forced to move too fast. Sometimes they just want to be free of it. But they always leave something. Coins from before countries existed. Journals written in languages that haven't been spoken in 400 years. Tools made of metals I can't identify. Buttons, knives, rings, teeth, music boxes, compass-like things that spin without stopping. I found a doll once, hand-sewn, old, but the stitching was too perfect. I picked it up and my eye started watering, my glass eye. I put it down real quick and did not touch it again. That's why O'Reilly and I built the room. There's a storage space under the employee lounge, hidden behind a wall that looks like a boiler closet. You need 2 keys to get in, his and mine, metal ones, old, and the lock takes a real steady hand. The hallway that leads down is short, steep, always cold no matter what time of year it is. Inside, it's lined with wooden shelves, glass cases, and boxes sealed with wax. There are labels in O'Reilly's handwriting, little cards with names and warnings. Nothing digital, no cameras, just paper, ink, and silence. We don't tell the other staff about it. Not Carmela, not Benny, not anyone. Not because we don't trust them, but because well, they're better off not knowing. Some of the objects carry something with them, a kind of sickness. O'Reilly calls it object poisoning. When the wrong guest touches the wrong thing, something happens. Not always right away. Sometimes it acts like a cold. They'll get the chills, dizzy, forget what year it is. Other times it hits harder. Fevers, confusion, bleeding from the fingernails. We lost a guest once, a woman who found a letter in her room that didn't belong to her. Read it aloud, then collapsed in the hallway like her brain couldn't take it. Time, it does not like being crossed, and sometimes an object carries too much of one time into another, like a bad meal. It doesn't agree with the body. That's why I collect them. After checkout, I sweep the rooms. I know what to look for. The things that hum without making noise. The things that feel heavy without being heavy. You don't touch them with bare hands. Gloves only. Cotton or wool. Never synthetic. That is rule number 1. Rule number 2 is don't look too closely. Some of them don't like being seen. I carry them down one by one, store them by category: metal, textile, paper, unknown. I label them and let O'Reilly decide if they stay or get buried out back. Not everything's safe to keep. We had an hourglass once that wouldn't stop flipping itself. No sand inside, just this clicking sound every time it turned. After a week, the power started going out in just that wing of the building. We buried it in a lead box under the utility shed. Haven't had a blackout since. O'Reilly says the collection is the soul of the motel. I say it's the garbage pile time forgot. But I still take care of it. It's my job. I like having a job. And the salt. I lay it down every morning in a full circle around the outer wall of the motel. Just one line, unbroken. Keeps things out, or keeps things in. Hard to say, really. The garlic goes by the doorways, changed out every 3 days. Always fresh, never dried. Not for vampires, that's a myth, I think. But it works on pests. Speaking of pests, there's the demon in room 403. At least that's what I call him. O'Reilly's got a different name for it. He calls it the shapeshifter. He told me once offhand, like he was talking about a plumbing repair, that he caught the thing back when he wasn't this. I didn't press him. He's always talking around things. But from what I gathered, there was a time before the motel. A time when O'Reilly worked in a mansion somewhere, an old one with a garden of daffodils up front. Probably around the ocean, judging by his accent when he's tired. And that place had its own secrets. One of those secrets had teeth. He made a deal, as he tends to do, not to destroy it, but to trap it. Take it with him. Give it a room of its own. So now it lives in room 403. Not just the room, though. The whole 4th floor is sealed. Always has been. No elevators go up there. The stairwell has 2 sets of padlocks and a gate made of iron. You need 3 keys to get through, and only O'Reilly has all 3. Even the light up there feels wrong. Yellow, low, like it's been filtered through something old and tired. Room 403 is reinforced like a prison cell. The walls are thick and lined with iron rods. Real silver bars across the window cost a fortune to install. There's sage burned at all the corners, and a line of salt that gets refreshed weekly.
Carmela refuses to go near it, says even the smell gives her nosebleeds. It reeks of iron. That's the first thing you notice when you get close. That hot metal scent that sticks in your throat. The kind of smell that makes you feel like you're walking into a blacksmith's dream. O'Reilly says monsters like that don't hunt with claws or growls. They get under your skin, make you think you're safe. They wear faces. They tell you things you wish were true. That's how they feed. I didn't believe him, not really. But back in my first week, I let curiosity get the better of me. I made sure the hallway was clear, snuck past the gate while he was off checking a supply shipment. Just wanted to look, not go in, not even touch the handle, just look. I knelt down and peered under the door, and I saw my mother. She was sitting on the far end of the room, head in her hands, hair pulled back the way she used to wear it when I was a kid. Only, she wasn't the woman I remembered from when I came home. Tired, graying, older than I could make peace with. No, this version of her was young, 25 maybe, before the lines around her eyes, before the world wore her down. And she was crying, not sobbing, just this quiet, terrible sound, like someone who had already run out of tears but didn't know how to stop anyway. She kept asking why I hadn't come home from the war, kept saying she waited, that she always waited. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just watched. And then she looked at me and smiled. I stood up fast, and I walked down the stairs, all the way back to the lobby, locked the door behind me. Didn't speak to anyone for the rest of the night. And I haven't gone back up since. But I think O'Reilly goes. Maybe once a month, maybe more. He never talks about it, but I see him come back with this look on his face. Tight, still, like he's trying to remember something the wrong way. He checks the wards, inspects the frame, listens at the door. Maybe he sees someone he's lost too. I don't know, I don't ask. The problem is, some guests do. They wonder, or they hear things, or they think they're braver than they are. They go looking for room 403. Most don't make it past the stairwell. The locks do their job. The gates hold, but every now and then, someone gets too close. The shapeshifter doesn't need much. Just a crack in the door. Just a sliver of attention. That's enough. It copies the face of someone you trust. A brother, a lover, a child. You let it in because your brain says it's safe. And then it rips your jaw off before you can even scream. The body gets posed in bed like it's sleeping. Quiet, arms folded, smile on its face. Sometimes it even tucks the sheets in, like it's practicing what being human feels like. Then it wears your body for a while, walks the halls, nods at the staff, orders lunch, just long enough to get close to someone else. O'Reilly has ways of catching it when it escapes. Doesn't share those either. But it always ends up back in room 403 somehow. And the doors get locked again. The salt gets replaced. The sage gets burned. And we carry on like nothing happened. There is a rhythm to the place now. I know it better than I know myself.
Wake up, lay down the salt, brew the coffee, check the locks, smile at the guest, feed the ones who need feeding, stay out of room 403, and repeat. Sounds simple, but it isn't. Not really. Not when time travelers bleed through your doors like stormwater, carrying the weight of 1,000 years, and not enough breakfast. Not when lost things we're supposed to forget keep showing up wrapped in twine and regret. Not when people who look like family turn out to be something else. The staff gets it. Carmela still smokes like the world's ending, but she keeps the sheets clean and the rules tighter than any Bible she ever carried. Benny runs the hall like a mouse that learned how to teleport. O'Reilly, well, he keeps the ship upright, in his red velvet suit and haunted eyes. I've stopped asking who he really is. I don't even know if he remembers anymore. And the guests? The guests don't stay, but they leave pieces behind. A note in a language no one speaks. A wedding dress that never made it to the altar. Coins from kings who never existed. I catalog them all, store them below, where it's always cold and always quiet. I've learned to handle them carefully. Time doesn't like to be touched out of turn. Every object has a story. Every room holds a secret. Sometimes, I feel like this place is a museum of sorrow, and I'm the last guard on the night shift. But I'm not sad. Not anymore. This isn't the life I pictured after the war. Back then, I thought maybe I'd sell tires, get a dog, drink beer with neighbors I didn't hate. But things fall apart. Knees give out. Eyes go glassy. You look up one day and realize you're not going anywhere, so you better find somewhere worth standing still. The motel isn't safe, but it's steady, and that counts for something. Some days, I see my own reflection in the guests, in their drift, in their silence. I haven't jumped through time like they have, but I've gotten lost all the same. The kind of lost you don't notice right away. The kind that creeps in when nobody calls and nobody's waiting back home. I don't know if O'Reilly built this place or found it. Doesn't matter. What matters is that it keeps going, that the lights stay on, that we keep the wards strong and the doors locked tight, especially 403. The demon hasn't gotten out lately, at least not in any way we've noticed, but I still don't go near it. Not because I'm afraid, though I am, but because I've learned that curiosity in this place is just another way of asking for trouble. So I do what I've always done. I mop the floors, collect the relics, brew the bitter coffee, nod at the ones who look like they've lost something too big to carry. I work here. I help keep the peace. That's all. And that's enough. And for the foreseeable future, I will keep doing just that. After all, the coffee's free. If you're ever driving through the desert and see a pale pink motel rising out of the heat on the horizon, neat and lovely, like a postcard from nowhere, think twice before you stop.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. Special thank you to all my patrons. If you'd like to become a supporter on Patreon, there's a link in the description. I hope you have a great night, and thanks for watching.